you're the CEO of a 20,000 person company. No, you can't just post whatever you want because you're thinking about it that day.
Today I've got David Fisher with me, who is a social selling expert and also an author of Networking in the 21st Century on LinkedIn. David, David, welcome to our little program here.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. I've wanted to be here for years.
Yeah, I mean, you were
I finally got the invite.
You were outside, like, just waiting, knocking on the door.
It's like, I'm here, hello.
You're like, well, just let me know when it's my turn, and here you are.
Got the call.
And thanks for dressing up for me.
Just for you.
You know, I know you don't usually wear, dress up this fancy, but I appreciate that.
Just for you.
I'm wearing a shirt that it's my grandpa's shirt. He was a bowler. And
that's quite a flex.
It kind of looks like
that's
a bowling
quite a flex. I grew up in Milwaukee, so that's a pretty big flex right there.
It's stylish. I think it's coming back. Well, we're going to talk about social selling on LinkedIn, which obviously that's a big focus of what you do. You've even written books on it.
Yeah.
And not just one book.
12 so far. So.
Okay, wow.
But a lot on LinkedIn, social selling, networking, business in general. And I wrote a book of haiku about Chicago because why not?
Why not?
It's a great city.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, let's get into some of that. I guess before we jump into, the topic, I'd love to just, your little mini story. How did you get into this in the first place? Like, what's your background, I guess?
Yeah, it's a weird path. I got my start selling, but in direct sales. So back when I was in college, I worked for a company called Cutco, which is the kitchen knives.
I'm sure. What's the spiel? What's the Cutco spiel? Can you lay it on me?
I could do the whole thing probably still by memory, but hey, we've got high carbon surgical stainless steel, thermal resin handles, the scissors that cut pennies. I mean, it's fantastic.
Wow. Why wouldn't you want to be able to cut your pennies in half?
We all need to be able to do that.
Okay. All right. Sold.
Good. I can still write up an order for you. But I paid my way through school. I was a history major, so I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but was pretty successful as a salesperson, and then actually ran their Chicago office for 5 years.
Okay.
So kind of interesting path where by the time I was in my mid-20s, I'd trained over 1,500 salespeople. I'd interviewed literally thousands of people. And so some real kind of in the trenches experience.
Yeah.
From there, I went and actually opened up my own consulting firm. And for almost 17 years, worked with everything from small single person consultancies up to some of the biggest brand names in the world, doing everything around sales coaching, program development. And I was an early networker. That's how I built my business.
And that's how we know each other, because of your network that I somehow weaseled my way into. I don't know why you let me in.
Hey, I'm not sure either, but I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
But LinkedIn, I mean, this is back in 2006, was this really cool thing where we're like, we can do some of our networking online. And so kind of just adopted it early, started seeing the sales potential of it. And so that kind of grew my practice where I was working with a lot of sales people, but also sales organizations on how to kind of marry the online and offline together.
And I'm curious because going from, when I think about at least sales coaching or like sales enabling, you bring in a consultant, and we got to level up our sales team.
Yeah.
To really focusing more specifically on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Was it just it's a new fun challenge to solve? Why did you decide to, because I feel like there's a huge need still for these sales teams to get coaching and training and the stuff you were doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So it wasn't, hey, you don't need these human skills, the sales skills. Instead, you're going to go online. It was, how do we take the offline and online and put them together?
Yeah.
How do we scale, or not, scale's maybe got a bad taste to the word these days. How do we actually leverage these online tools?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, so I actually found an opportunity where I work with a company called SAS as their global social selling program lead. So I help our people around the world to do that now.
And now you run a sales program for a company. And so that's a combination of experiences I don't think many people have. So I guess what I'm curious is kind of like the value proposition, like for people who don't have a social selling program.
Yeah.
What does SAS or the company you're working with, what do they see? What's clear to them that's not so clear to everybody else who doesn't have one of these programs, I guess?
Yeah, you take a step back. What does really enabling your sales force online do for you? We used to and when I say we used to, maybe let's take this 20 years ago, you'd have your marketing team and you had your sales team, and never those two shall meet, right? This is not a journey that's happened all of a sudden, but if you think about so many of the activities we engage with each other and as professionals, the idea of this being marketing and this being sales, that's a really hard question to answer.
Like what's marketing versus sales, what's sales versus marketing?
So, as a professional, if you go and post something on LinkedIn, right? And I know you've done that for your business.
Yeah.
Is that a marketing activity?
Right.
Is that a sales activity? Does it matter? Does it help drive outcomes for the business? Like in the end, that's what you want. And I think if anything, the path that I took really helped me see at a certain point, you just have to really drive towards those business outcomes that you want and not worry necessarily, is this a marketing or sales activity?
Right.
But if you're going to say that, you have to empower a salesperson, for example, who traditionally has a certain skill set and a job description. You have to enable them to be a little more successful with some of the processes that a marketing person might naturally have. Brand idea, messaging cohesion, clarity, like all these things that are super important. For most professionals still, LinkedIn is the primary B2B platform. Obviously tools like TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, depending on industry, depending on what you're trying to do, can be really relevant. But we still kind of use LinkedIn as that professional world. And I work a lot in the B2B space, which is definitely on LinkedIn.
Are there like different types of outcomes or goals that, when you guys are thinking through the program and you've worked with other companies, kind of help me understand is what are the opportunities? Are we trying to drive leads? Are we just trying to raise their visibility so that they can show up in a room and be known already? There's probably different things there, right?
That's exactly right. I often tell people there's not one LinkedIn, right? It's got 1 billion members around the world. With each of those billion people has a different goal, right? There's, I think, 70,000 different organizations with a company profile on LinkedIn. So to say like, here's the one thing you should try to get out of it, doesn't make sense, right?
It's nuanced.
It's nuanced, and I think the key actually is something you were touching on there, which is instead of going, I'm going to go on the digital landscape, I'm going to go on LinkedIn and we're going to get stuff from it. Instead, it's thinking strategically, what is our business trying to do right now? What is our marketing trying to do?
And I think, one of the trends I think that is happening just even in the world more broadly, I think is driving this, is where trust happens and really understanding trust. And one of the things is, I think, becoming more clear is people are trusting people over logos, right? And so it's not to say that you should stop doing brand marketing. That's not what I'm trying to say. But if you're not like helping the people within your organization, the people that are out there on the front line, especially the sales team, there's other experts in large companies that aren't just salespeople too. And I think that's a growing trend.
The idea of trust. So the only issue I would take with what you just said is that I don't think trust is becoming more important. I think it always has been.
Sure.
Human trust. That's hard to replace. And I think the companies that are doing that are the ones that then can leverage those relationships.
Right.
Whether that is building that know, like, and trust, building clients, having better retention of customers, whatever your business outcome is that you're shooting for.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Well, let's kind of dive into a social selling program. Help us become better social sellers, I guess, right? Whether it's a programmatic approach or it's one person that's on the sales team that's like, hey, sign me up, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
What are where do they start? I've got a network. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I post sometimes. I repost my company's video. It's an advertisement. Yeah. Where do I start to get better?
The first place to start is actually something we touched on. It's deciding what you're actually trying to do.
Okay.
And I think that one of the biggest mistakes I've seen from the very beginning on LinkedIn, for any tool, but let's just say LinkedIn, is that you just show up and start doing stuff instead of thinking the why.
Yeah.
So the first step is always think strategically. What am I trying to do? I've got a network. Great. Is it you're trying to find specific prospects? Is it just you're trying to build your name? Are you trying to build up your reputation within your organization because you're hoping for a promotion, right? Again, there's not a right or wrong here, but you have to know what you're trying to accomplish. LinkedIn or any other tool they are tools, they're not magic wands.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the first step is always to go, I am trying to get 5 new customers in this industry at this size, right? Hopefully you'll have that from whatever work the marketing team has done or your organization to really go into your ICP to know who you're selling to. At that point, then you get to say, okay, so if these are the goals I have, who does need to know about me, about what I can do? Who's the relationship I need to build? I do think that most of us see the examples of the person with the viral post or the follower.
Like 300 views on that thing, or likes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do that.
The influencer with 100,000 followers. And they're like, oh, that's what it takes to be successful. I would argue that for most professionals, I'm going to say definitely in the sales world, and I think this kind of extrapolates. For most of us, there's probably about 250 people that we're actually trying to influence, right? So if you think you're in sales, your prospect list, the stakeholders involved in the sales process, the influences of those stakeholders, it's not into the thousands and thousands.
It's not everybody. It's not like, let's go viral because everybody needs to see it. Let's make a Super Bowl commercial.
Right.
It's about targeting those people.
It's about targeting. And so once you say, okay, so, the 3 questions I have people ask is, what is my goal? Who, based on that goal, do I need to influence? How do I want them to see me? Right. So if you want a very practical, it's in my book.
Yeah. Let's tease out the book. Obviously you can read the book, and you should, because I've read it. I have it on my desk. But take it a step further there.
But the reason I start there is because that really guides everything else you're doing. So if you know, hey, I'm trying to get these 5 new customers, who do I need to influence? And it again depends on, for example, what you're selling. But if you're working in the enterprise space, you don't need everybody at that target customer to know you. You're like, who are my buyers?
Yeah.
Who are the C-suite and other leadership that are going to influence this decision? A lot of times we don't like to do this because it's not sexy work. It's not fun work. You have to put a little thought in here. I do think, by the way, this is where when we see some of the AI tools that are coming out are useful.
Some of that research, some of that identity targeting, some of that, like, where are these people?
Yeah, I mean, there's even functionality within Sales Navigator, which is LinkedIn's paid sales tool, which does a lot of it. Great.
Right.
But you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
But going, okay, so these people are the ones I'm trying to influence. Then you go, how do I want them to see me? I mean, that's, by the way, that's a marketing question, right? What is our
perception?
Our perception. And by the way, competent, that's table stakes, right? Like, what is it that you, not even just your company, but you are going to bring to the conversation? Because then when you have the answers to those 3 questions, then you can go to your LinkedIn profile and go, okay, if I was one of my target audience and I came to this profile, would I want to do business with me?
Yeah.
And if the answer is not yes, right? And then you can start looking at the tactics, and sure, the images or the content, the writing, all those things are important. But people always ask me, do I have a good LinkedIn profile or not? And I go, that's the wrong question. Yeah. It's all relevant. Do I have a good LinkedIn profile based on my attempts at doing this? LinkedIn posting. Are my LinkedIn posts good? Okay, what are you trying to do?
Yeah. It only matters if you know what the target is you're trying to hit.
Yeah.
Are you hitting the target or not?
LinkedIn, all these platforms are evolving platforms. So even the way it is now is different than it was 3 years ago.
Totally, yeah.
5 years ago.
It's changed a lot.
The algorithms that LinkedIn uses, they'll say, they want very much professional content, but you'll see kind of the more personal posts sometimes are the ones that go viral. And I think that what you have to remember is that humans like to connect with humans.
So I think that's a great example of bringing that personality, and like, it's not just random.
Right.
We've thought through this a little bit, and how does it actually sort of move the needle or the ball a little bit on what your target here and your goal is?
I think that's right. And personally, I'm comfortable sharing a little bit of myself because I want to build trust with people.
Totally. Well, and I think of examples, we've worked with like CEOs or executives of large companies, and we've had a lot of success with getting them to be, sharing some personal stuff. And because if you're perceived as like totally guarded to business, always, there's probably you're missing some opportunities to engage with even just your own employees, especially like a really big company.
Yeah.
but also amplifying your culture if you're trying to recruit new people. Like, what's it like to work with those guys? What are they like? Who are they like as people? Not just like, what do they do in the work world? And same thing with their customers. You know, you are still trying to make that connection. So I think there's a huge opportunity for certain executives to sort of share some of that personality, share stories maybe from their background, whatever that looks like for them. But it's a great way to connect with people at the end of the day.
That's right. And I think when you look at an executive team, for example, there are some other considerations. I think one of the challenges often when we think of like the social selling world or personal branding world, there's this idea, just share it all. It's okay. There's no other things to think about here.
Yeah.
You're the CEO of a 20,000 person company. No, you can't just post whatever you want because you're thinking about it that day.
Right.
Having some strategy, having some thoughtfulness is important. You're probably going to have the resources, a team that will help you do that.
One thing I wanted to just get your take on, you know, let's say, hey, I want to make the case for my company to do some sort of social selling program. I'm that like somebody in marketing. We've been talking about it. We really haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But we know it's time to do something. Pointers, any practical tips on, you know, how do I sort of make the case for that or bring that to my organization? Where can I start?
Yeah, I think the first step, if I was a marketing leader and I really wanted to leverage digital more from the sales side, I think the first thing you need to do is you need to get a champion in the sales organization. Because one of the biggest points of resistance is that traditionally sales and marketing don't get along, and marketing, anybody who's listening to this and has been in this situation, this will resonate. Marketing team creates great content and has a great campaign, and they give it to the salespeople, and the sellers do nothing with it. Because if you look at it from the different perspective, the seller's like, I've got all these other things I'm trying to do, and now you're just telling me to come
have
in.
another, do you want me to do maybe your job or like do something else?
Or you want me to post about this campaign we have going on, but I wouldn't say this doesn't sound like me. Why would I leverage my relationships in this social space?
Right.
It just doesn't fit. So I think what works well is trying to find that alignment, that common ground. There's so much stuff, but the moment that a sales leader goes, hey, I think I can identify 2 or 3 things that we're working on right now that this would help. Like, that conversation has to happen first, because then it's not the marketing person going up to.
And here's another marketing initiative or a campaign. No, right. It's like, how do you bring this in and kind of integrate this as a part of what we do?
Yeah, and I think when you talk about alignment, it's not only alignment in the work you're doing, but the incentives. So the marketers often have incentives. The sellers have incentives. Sometimes they're not the same.
Yeah.
But if you can find, again, that's where I think the commonalities. You're trying to do something, I'm trying to do something. How do we work together in a way that maybe makes our lives a little easier, drives a little more efficiency? And that's the stuff that you can see, like even very practically. Yeah.
Connect those dots.
So that's where I would start, is that conversation. Great. And buy-in has to happen.
Makes sense. All right, got a different question for you, off topic here. What is a word or phrase we should no longer use in the workplace?
I was going to say mellifluous, but...
Mellifluous?
Mellifluous.
Mellifluous.
But honestly, I think we need more of that. It means to flow like honey, smooth.
So why should we use that? You're flipping the question. I like this.
Right,
nobody's done that before.
Because one, you make people go, what? What is it? And it actually literally, it means smooth, but it means to flow like honey.
Can you use it in a sentence?
My voice, when it's not all raspy, is mellifluous.
Oh, yeah.
The satin sheets were mellifluous. This conversation has gone mellifluously. At least
with agility,
yeah.
too. This is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on social selling. I feel like we've got some wisdom and some takeaways here. You're an author.
Yeah.
We have another book coming out, or anytime soon, or what book should we focus on right now?
Networking in the 21st Century on LinkedIn. Also have Networking in the 21st Century. And Hyper-Connected Selling is a book that I wrote right before the pandemic. And so, about 8 years old now. And I was just looking at it the other day. I was actually like, I should have marketed it more. I was like pretty spot on with some of the things.
You nailed it?
I thought,
it's nice to look back and be like, holy cow, I was right.
I wasn't completely full of crap, just partially.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, David, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
final.